Hey guys, Carlo Filippone here, your muscle chef, ready to talk to you about this guy, the chicken pound. What do we do with the chicken pound? We prepare grilled chicken in different flavors, 6 to be exact. If you're serious about bodybuilding and you meal prep, don't go anywhere else. This is the company for you.
RX Television on RxMuscle.com. This is Ask Dave, better known as hashtag Ask Dave, your 30-minute question and answer show with Dave Palumbo. I'm your host, Sadiq Faruqi. Of course, we are in some very, very odd times right now. I guess on behalf of the RX Muscle team, I would just say, obviously, stay safe. I know there is a lot of information going around right now, some good, some bad, some somewhere in the middle. Do what you got to do. Protect yourself, protect your family, and we're all going to get this together. As we now bring in Dave Palumbo. Dave, as part of what we were discussing for SpecyNutrition.com, as far as what we can do in terms of products that we have, and in a way, how we can now help, our fans, our customers, our supporters. You had an idea. First, we were talking about things maybe related to just the immune boosting products, but then we figured, you know what? Let's take it a step further. Mark off the entire website.
Yeah, what I wanted to do is I wanted to make it so that people can get the products that I've been talking about at a very affordable price, because I know some people can't go to work and money is becoming tight. So we're going to offer 35% off the entire SpecyNutrition.com website, plus free shipping over orders over $100 domestic, of course. And this way, because I've been talking a lot about demineralized, the zinc, the chelated zinc content in there, which is we know is will stop the replication of the coronavirus, especially when it's combined with the quinine, which you can get in diatonic water. Also, I talked about, it's funny, but I talked about Fiberlize, and using that, it'll reduce your toilet paper use, because you won't need to wipe your butt 400 times because it just kind of just slips out. I know it's gross, but hey, and I know a lot of people want to stock up on Isolyze protein and Protolyze pudding because it's hard to get meat now. It's unbelievable, but the supermarkets have actually run out of meat and fresh, protein sources. So for bodybuilders, we need our protein. So you guys can check out everything at SpecyNutrition.com and get 35% off. And that's my thank you to you guys for, number one, supporting the brand, supporting RxMuscle and everything we do over here, and of course, just giving back in these harder times. So I hope this helps out, and you can head over there, and we're going to have 35% off the entire website right now. How many days did we say we're going to run this for, Sid?
I believe till Friday at midnight. So from the time this episode airs through Friday at midnight.
Great.
The sale is going to be good. Again, if you're going to go to the supermarket, I just went to the supermarket earlier today. It's an eerie scene, obviously. You have a lot of shelves that are completely empty. Don't be that guy or that girl. Take what you need. You don't need to take the entire store. Things are going to be fine. We just need to get through this, and we're going to get through it together. But again, like Dave said, check out what we have right now, speciesnutrition.com, 35% off the entire website. Let's go to the questions.
And Sid, just to make things, not to make things worse, for some reason, our recording equipment is not working.
Yeah,
right,
I wasn't going to bring that up. I was trying to act as if everything is all normal.
Yeah.
You're saying
everything goes wrong at one time. You know that.
I mean, it's crazy. I'm actually in my office right now. I came here specifically so we could record this episode. Otherwise, you would see my bedroom. But
he had a hazmat suit on before, but he took it off.
Exactly, right.
I made him take it off.
But even here, as you can imagine, not everything is running as according to schedule or normal. Our internet was down just as of maybe 10 minutes ago, so I literally might have been doing this episode from a Starbucks or somewhere I could get internet. But it is crazy for everyone, and I know we empathize with those who are struggling right now, who are lacking work that they're usually accustomed to during this period of time. So this is all we can do. We can bring some sense of normalcy in terms of what it is that we do in the RxMuscle. And then, of course, Dave providing what he does with speciesnutrition.com. So check out that sale. Let's get to the questions. The first two questions, of course, from the Dave Palumbo Experience app. Dave, thanks for all the info. Doing 3 shakes and 3 meals right now, but it'd be much easier to do 4 shakes and 2 meals. Would this negatively affect my physique or health? Isolyze Mac nut oil and a pack of oats blended.
I have no problem with that. I tell people, you know what, when you have times of like making it hard, if you can't make your meals, or you're at work, or even now, like because you can't get the food you need at the supermarket, do shakes. Don't miss eating. That's the stupid thing to do. If you're a bodybuilder and maybe you can't get to the gym, or you have limited equipment in your house you have to use, or you got to do push-ups and pull-ups. If you want to maintain maximal muscle, you better get your protein in. The diet is the most important thing. You're not going to lose muscle in 2 weeks, okay? Doing push-ups and sit-ups and pull-ups. That's not going to happen. You will lose muscle if you don't eat your meals. So don't mess up on your diet just because you're not going to the gym. I have people saying, well, I'm not going to go to the gym, so should I just go down to 2-3 meals a day? I'm like, why? Do you want to lose them? You want to just give away the muscle? Why don't you just say, okay, I give up here, take all the muscle I just spent the last 5 years building and give it away? Stupid. You got to stick to the plan, stick to your diet, do your training as best you can with what you got to work with. And then when things open up again and everything, goes back to normal or relatively normal, you won't be behind the 8 ball playing catch up. It'll take you 2-3 weeks and you'll be back to what you were before. So don't succumb to the situation. Don't just say, well, I might as well just stop. Look, it's not nuclear war here we had, all right? We have a viral outbreak. It's going to go away eventually, and then we're going to get back to normal. And the people who stuck to their diets, the people who stuck to training as best they could, those people are going to have a huge advantage.
Second question, again, from the Dave Palumbo Experience app. If I add a third AAF compound, is there less side effects than doing just 2, but at a higher dosage? 2 compounds, 1,500 mg total a week versus 3 compounds, 1,500 a week.
Personally, from the literature I've read and from what I've done in the past, I don't think taking an aromatase, 2 different aromatase inhibitors is going to be better than taking 1. I think it's redundancy. I think you're inhibiting the same enzyme system. So the aromatase enzyme can only, it's an enzyme that converts testosterone into estrogen. Once you inhibit it with 1 compound, taking another compound is not going to inhibit it more. And as a matter of fact, you might over-inhibit it, in which case your estrogen might get too low, and then you're not going to grow. You're not going to have a sex drive. So I think that would be a mistake.
Let's go to our Instagram questions. Again, if you're not following us, our handle is official_RxMuscle, trying to dig for some questions that are very relevant to what's going on right now. And speaking specifically to the bodybuilding world, of course, a number of postponements, rather, I shouldn't say cancellations, postponements to a host of IFBB pro shows and NPC shows. Dave did a couple of videos addressing those topics and how they may potentially impact the Olympia in terms of, the show going on, in terms of the show invitee list and how that all may, play in. But obviously it's craziness. But to address that specifically for the competitors, Vanity, that's Ivan wants to know, what advice would you give to competitors who were prepping for the spring competition season, who are just weeks out from their shows?
This is a relevant question because I have a lot of people that I'm working with right now who are in this situation. And sometimes I don't know what to tell them really, because I say, keep training, keep dieting. The shows that are, at least in the United States, that are going to be that were supposed to take place before May 10th are definitely canceled or delayed. That means that they're either going to be postponed to a later date or they're not going to be held at all this year. That's up to the promoter and whether they can get another date and venue. So we'll know more when those are postponed once we know what's going on. I know that like my friend Mel Chancey's show was going to be moved to the 9th of May. It was supposed to take place in 2.5 weeks. And Jim Mannion set the deadline at May 10th. So now he's looking for another date after that. He's postponing his show a couple weeks later. But some people just won't be able to get a venue and they'll just cancel. And that's going to be up to the promoter. But there's going to be plenty of shows that people will be able to do. I would personally, what I've been doing with a lot of competitors is who had shows coming up relatively soon, is I'm putting them on kind of like a maintenance plan, feeding them a little more. And then we're shooting towards a show towards like summertime. And I'm just delaying it. And sometimes that might work out better for them because they get a little burst in growth because I'm going to feed them a little more. And then I once we have a cemented date in stone, then I'll put them on a strict diet again. These are for very disciplined people that can do that. Some people just are not. They're ready to eat, and they want to eat everything in sight, and that's fine. They can go to off season if they want, maybe compete in the fall or wait till next year. It's really up to the person. I give the person that I'm working with the option of what they want to do. Most people do want to compete. They like the fact that I'm going to give them a break. Some people, are right on that borderline around that May 10th, area. And I'm like, let's ride this out and see what happens. Let's keep dieting and assume that you're going to compete. If we have to push it a couple of weeks, I'm sure there'll be another show that we can do in June sometime. So there's nothing wrong with that. And I just keep them on the program. Now, if you don't have equipment to train with, obviously doing push-ups, pull-ups, I did a video on all that about how to train without equipment. The best thing I could tell you to do is go on a Craigslist or a Facebook Marketplace, and you can find people who are selling old dumbbells. Everyone has them, believe me. There's people have them in garages, they're cleaning out, especially now people are home, they don't know what to do with themselves, they're cleaning out everything. They want to get rid of them. Go on there, you can get a good deal, buy the dumbbells you need, and you can do pretty much it. You can do arms, you can do curls and triceps, and side laterals and shoulder presses, and even some bench pressing. Just because you do hundreds in the gym doesn't mean you have to have 100 at home. You can do 50, 60 pound dumbbell presses and just really squeeze those pecs. At least you'll preserve your muscle. You know what I mean? That's easy stuff to have. And then you can do pull-ups, which is a great back exercise. You can do push-ups, you can do dips. There's a lot you can do at home. You can do squats with someone sitting on your shoulders if you can balance them. There's a lot you can do, to maintain muscle. You're not going to build muscle, but you can maintain muscle. And a lot of guys have home gyms or friends who have home gyms. You just got to be resourceful. That's the kind of times it is. If you could find toilet paper and paper towels in this drought, I'm sure you could find a gym to train at.
We're getting a variety of questions along the same lines. The shift dog wants to know, with all the gyms being closed, many people afraid of losing progress in muscle growth. Relevant to what you were just talking about, how long does it take without training for the body to lose muscle mass?
It's not going to take as long as, people think that, I'm going to lose in 3 days if I don't work out. Nah, you deflate a little bit maybe, but you don't really. As a matter of fact, when I would have to take off time because I've had surgeries or something like that, like, some arthroscopic cleanup surgeries or gyno surgery, I was shocked at how good I looked 2-3 weeks after not training, And because what happens is the muscles heal up and you actually look better. They get glycogen loaded. And it's usually around the 3-week mark that you start to get a little bit of atrophy. But that was doing nothing. So imagine if you are doing push-ups and you are trying to do something at home. I think you can stimulate the muscle enough to maintain what you have. And I think it would take like 2 months before you would really notice a loss. That's why I tell people, don't go off cycle. The worst case, maybe just cut back to like an HRT dose of 500 milligrams of testosterone per week and then a little GH and maintain on that, until you can go back. But, sometimes I just tell people stay on your regular cycle and train because that might be the best way to maintain your muscle mass because at least the drugs are there. You're putting a stimulus in, even if it's a lighter stimulus than you're normally used to. Once again, we're looking to preserve muscle, not necessarily gain it. So I think that would do the trick.
Getting quite a few questions about post-contest rebound. What is the best? I'll ask this one from Avid. And what is the best way to rebound after a prep without gaining too much body fat? Also, the best for your body in progression after a prep.
It's really hard to get fat after a prep. It's very easy to get bloated though, right after a show. So what I recommend is I usually build people. I let them cheat a couple days, for a day or two, and then I'll put them on a program, which is pretty much the contest diet with more carbs. And that usually gets their body, once their body gets used to that after about a week or two, and the water balance kind of equilibrates itself, then I can start boosting calories more if necessary. And if you do it that way progressively, you're not going to get fat, because as soon as you see you're maybe putting on too much body fat, you can cut back your carbs. If you're not gaining weight properly, then you increase your carbs or your protein and or your fat. Those are, once again, coaching comes in there, just experience. But the key is right after a show, that week before, anything you gain is going to be mostly water weight. Okay, so don't think that you're getting fat that week, and don't think that you're putting on 20 pounds of muscle that week. It's water weight. After the first 10 to 14 days, then that would be legitimate weight that you're gaining at that point. And you can have a really good rebound and put muscle on. Just give your body what it needs: enough protein, enough fat, and just enough carbs to fuel your workouts. So if you're not overeating carbs, it's impossible to get fat, and that's what I find works best after a show.
Action Figure 86, good one here. What's with Dennis Wolf? Did he quit bodybuilding? Now, he's asking this question because Dennis Wolf just posted a picture. It was either earlier today or yesterday. There's a picture of him kind of standing like alongside a highway, and I think the caption, if I remember correctly, was something to the effect of like "Life is a highway." And Dave, he was at the Olympia, this past Olympia. I remember I took a picture of him. He was standing a little towards the stage, so I was taking a picture of the stage, and kind of put this arrow in our Instagram story towards Dennis Wolf, and a lot of people commented on his obvious, the downsizing. What do you know about his latest in terms of why he downsized to that extent, and does he have a future in bodybuilding?
I think he would love nothing more than to be at the top of his game again. And when he made that comeback last year, I think he looked good in terms of conditioning, but I don't think he was able to train as heavy to put that size back on, and that really was the issue. So I think he realized, hey, you know what? I have a neck injury. I'm lucky I'm not paralyzed or disabled. Do I want to risk, pushing maximum weights again and winding up like Ronnie Coleman, or do I want to live, the rest of my life feeling good and healthy and everything like that? And I think he took he's not 30 years old anymore. He's in his 40s. So I think it was a smart decision. I think he said, you know what? I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to take a break. And, is he retired? Well, he didn't say he's retired. So, bodybuilders sometimes take big breaks and then out of nowhere they come back. Will we see Dennis Wolf on a stage again? I don't think so, but you never know. Guys get the itch to do it. Johnny Jackson came back after being out for 2.5 years. So I don't think it's a good idea if Dennis comes back. I don't think he'll ever be the Dennis Wolf he was that we remember. And at this point, he has nothing left to prove. He won the Arnold Classic. He placed, top 5 at the Olympia. He was a very popular bodybuilder, and he still is to this day. So I think that he should just keep doing what he's doing. He downsized. He's nice and healthy now. He's a fan favorite. He can make a lot of money in this industry without having to go up on that stage.
Let's go to O'Brien of John. One of the best times to get blood work, and should you always do full panels?
I always do the full panel. First of all, I go usually once a year now, unless I have something wrong with me or something like that, or something doesn't feel right. Some people, if you're on a cycle, probably twice a year is adequate. And I would do the full panel. Yeah, and people know I provide that panel blood work that you can get done. If you want, just email me and I'll send it off to you what you should ask for. And the reason you want to do that is because if you get a basic panel, it's not really, it's a flash. It's like if something's grossly wrong, you might find out. But we're bodybuilders. We want to find out the hormonal hormonal levels in our body. We want to know vitamin D levels. We want to know all those esoteric, tests, DHT, estrogen, testosterone, free testosterone, thyroid function. you want a hemoglobin A1C to see what your status is in terms of your blood sugar control. If you don't do all those, you're missing the boat, so it's not giving you enough data. So yeah, I would get a full panel probably once or twice a year.
Let's go to Maddie Catalyst. Recently watched a Mike Mentzer seminar. Thoughts on training 1 set per body part to failure?
I love the Mentzer ideology in terms of the heavy duty training system, which was you don't need to do 1 million sets. You can do less sets, higher intensity, heavy weights with lower reps. Work great for my body. I didn't overtrain. I lifted maximal weights. I grew optimally and I didn't get hurt because I wasn't overdoing it. And because I had a fast metabolism, it worked really, really well for me because it enabled me not to be in the gym for 3 hours training. So I think where Mentzer went wrong, and this happens with a lot of people, is they start becoming such minimalists. They're like, well, if 6 sets is better than 20 sets, maybe 1 set is better than 6 sets. I'll just increase the intensity 6-fold. And that's what Dorian was trying to do, and because he was following Mentzer's advice. And I think that's too extreme because what happens is you wind up getting injured because you feel like you have to put such incredible intensity into those 1 or 2 sets you're doing with such heavy weights that you leave yourself vulnerable to injury, even if you can generate that kind of intensity. So for me, I like to do more of an exercise variety. So I was doing 1 or 2 sets per exercise, but I was doing like 4 to 5 exercises per body part. So say for legs, I would do, I'd have to warm up. So for squats, I might do 4 or 5 sets. The working sets are really the last 1 or 2 sets. Then I would do 2 sets of like leg press, 2 sets of leg extensions, 2 sets of hamstring curls, and I would be done. But those sets that I did were super intense, but I'm still doing almost 8 sets there, right? So, it wasn't like I'm doing 1 or 2 sets. So I like them, like I said, I like the reduction in volume. I just don't like the fact that I don't want to go down to nothing because I think that it's even with my intense mentality, I don't think I could have generated enough intensity to really stimulate muscle growth with only like 2 different exercises.
Let's go to S. Krishna 9342. Dave, is there a product out there, non-regular joint supplements such as glucosamine, collagen, etc., that can help build cartilage after a microfracture knee surgery to regrow cartilage? I had surgery a year and a half ago, but still in pain, still going through PRP injections now. Not sure if there's anything more to enhance the cartilage growth.
Well, you want to use a really, really high potency glucosamine and MSM based joint product. Something like, my Arthrolyze product from Species Nutrition is 4 grams. That's 4,000 milligrams of glucosamine and 4,000 milligrams of MSM per daily serving, per 10 pills, 5 pills twice a day. That is the minimal you want to use. Most people don't even come close to that much. And because they don't take enough of the stuff, just like if you don't eat enough protein, you're not going to grow muscle. If you don't take enough of those raw ingredients, you're not going to rebuild cartilage and connective tissue. And it's just dose related. When Adela Garcia injured her knee and she had that knee surgery, and then she came back and made that successful run and won a bunch of Olympias after that, she had contacted me and I sent her a couple bottles of Arthrolyze, and I think she still continues to use it to this day. But I had to do 15 pills a day. I had to do a serving and a half, per day while she was rehabbing. And she said her knee never felt better after that. It really responded well. And it's not that there's any special magic ingredients in my products. It's just that the dose is correct. And most people don't get the right dose. They go to Vitamin Shop, they buy glucosamine, they buy MSM, they wind up taking 2 grams of each, if they're lucky, per day. If they, and then they have to take 2 separate bottles. I kind of made it real easy. I put it all in one bottle. Take 5 pills in the morning with your breakfast and 5 pills at night with your dinner, and you get all the raw materials your body needs to help repair joint. You'll notice after about 2 to 3 weeks, you'll say, "Holy mackerel! I feel a huge difference in my joints," and because now they're repairing themselves.
Let's go to Roy Fitz 14. Dave, does adding apple cider vinegar to my protein shakes ruin the effects, or is it better itself diluted with water?
I add apple cider vinegar to my Fiberlyze shake at night before bed, and sometimes during the midday when I do my shakes. It ruins the taste of the protein. It's not going to destroy your protein, but it ruins the taste of the protein, in my estimation. You know what I mean? Think about it. When you're pouring the protein into your mouth, into your stomach, the stomach is flooding the stomach with hydrochloric acid to break down the protein. So adding a little bit of dilute, apple cider vinegar is not going to harm the protein. It just might harm the taste. So you can do it if you want, but I would rather see you do the apple cider vinegar with, like I said, with either during the middle of the day in water, or just do it with your Fiberlize shake. Way tastier. It actually mixes really good with the Fiberlize. The Fiberlize kind of neutralizes a little of that acid bite to it, and it I just think it, especially with the fruit punch, tastes really good.
Gina Ray Fit, gut feeling. When do you think the next pro show will happen? Are you thinking in 9 weeks as is currently projected, 12 weeks, more?
I think that we're going to see the New York Pro on May 16th, the Steve Weinberger show. I don't know where it's going to be held. I mean, it's slated to be held in White Plains at the White Plains Convention Center, but I believe that will be the next show, assuming that, everything gets cleaned up and they start, releasing a lot of the quarantine-ish behavior that they're putting out there right now. But I suspect by then things should get better. And they purposely set that deadline, I think, right before New York Pro, because they want to make sure they don't cancel a major pro show. That, in my gut, is saying to me that will probably be the first pro show after the quarantine that we see.
Nico Cantemir, in this case with gyms closing and training at home, if I'm in the middle of your mass building cycle and your off-season diet, what can I do? Stop the cycle, cut the food? Your opinion.
Like I said before, don't cut the food. Don't cut the training. Train as well as you can. If you feel like this is going to be a while, and then it could be a month or two or more, drop down to HRT. Drop down to a little bit more, like 500 milligrams of testosterone a week and nothing else. If the only reason you'd be doing that is to save the drugs, because some people just only have so much money and can spend, I probably wouldn't cut back the cycle at all. But I mean, if you say to yourself, you know what, I'm not going to be training maximally. I don't want to waste the stuff. I'd rather save the stuff that I have, for when I'm able to start training full bore again, because I don't have access to a gym like some people do. So drop down to 500 milligrams. That will help. That'll at least maintain what you have, assuming you eat and train right. If you stay on the full assortment, you're probably more likely to retain everything you have, but you're not going to put on muscle unless you actually have access to a gym. So for the people who have no access, probably dropping to 500 milligrams is probably the way to go. Per week, that is.
So we have a couple of questions regarding gear and anxiety. Neil Zalewski, why does certain gear cause anxiety in people while others don't?
It's the androgenic component of the drug. So the most androgenic drug we have is trenbolone. So trenbolone is 4 times more androgenic than testosterone. So it excites the central nervous system, which makes you aggressive, which makes you, strong, because the nerves innervate the muscles with a stronger, intensity level. But it also makes it hard to sleep. It gives you anxiety. It can give you, it can upset your digestive system because it's overstimulating the nervous system. But most people don't care. Most people would rather have those side effects because they have the intense training effect in the gym, and they're loading glycogen in their muscles at a much more accelerated rate, which is what androgens are known to do. So that, like I said, is usually an acceptable risk. Now, testosterone is really high in androgens too. So that's why some people can get, very sensitive to the androgens that they're taking in testosterone. But usually, once again, trenbolone, because it's 4 times worse than testosterone, is usually the culprit when we talk about that type of thing. Halotestin is very, very androgenic too. It actually has no anabolic component, no muscle building component. It's just androgenic. So a lot of people, if they take that the last 2 weeks before a show, also they feel like they want to kill someone, and they're very agitated from that. So once again, more androgen equals more central nervous system stimulation.
Let's go to Muscles Marinara. Dave, would you recommend skin removal surgery or full abdominoplasty? I have slight loose skin on my lower abdomen and can't compete until it's addressed.
I would go to a really good board-certified plastic surgeon, key word being board-certified, and I would see what their suggestion is. They would probably tell you what the right way to go would be, because we're not looking at any pictures of what's going on, and I'm certainly not a plastic surgeon, so I could just give you my 2 cents, but plastic surgeon would say what the best way to eliminate that skin would be. It's going to involve some type of surgery for sure.
Judge Love Jr., is injectable L-carnitine really that great for fat loss?
Is it comparable to clenbuterol? No. So is it good for fat loss? Maybe, theoretically it should help. It should be better than oral theoretically, but who knows how much oral L-carnitine really burns fat. L-carnitine's job is to transport long chain fats, okay, from the cytoplasm or the inside of the muscle cell into the mitochondria where they're then oxidized for fats. If you have a lack of L-carnitine in your body, taking L-carnitine will definitely help with fat mobilization or say fat oxidation. If you don't, it might not do anything. So, to answer the question, does L-carnitine burn fat? If you need it in your body and you have a deficit of it, you will definitely notice more fat burning. If you don't, you probably won't notice much about anything.
Let's go to Robert. Paul, Dave, the other day you were talking about glutathione and its benefits on how during this virus it's great to take and help the immune system.
Sure.
I use it of either 200 mg daily or every other day. Question is, oral or close to effective? Want my mother who is older to take, but she's not going to have the daily injections.
Yeah, glutathione is not orally absorbable. The precursor to it, N-acetylcysteine or NAC, which you've seen it sold as, is orally absorbable. So if you're going to take it oral, you got to get N-acetylcysteine and use that at 200 to 400 milligrams per day. And then your body will convert that into glutathione. Obviously not as high an amount of glutathione as you would get if you're injecting 200 milligrams into your muscle, or which is essentially injecting it right into the bloodstream. So injectable glutathione is always going to be more potent than, taking an oral N-acetylcysteine. If you take oral glutathione, though, and I don't even know anyone who would sell it because it would be pretty much a scam if they did, it's just not absorbable through that method and through that mode of ingestion. So I wouldn't bother taking it orally.
Last question. I know we talked about gear and anxiety, but Jack Connor wants to know, in general, the link between PEDs, bodybuilding, and depression in general. What steps can be taken to deal with it? Your advice. So I guess in terms of what you advise your clients and maybe during your own competition career, how you dealt with the specter of depression.
I got to be honest with you. I never was really clinically depressed. I might have gotten sad at times of losing people, that were close to me. But I never, I always sympathize and empathize with people who have depression. And I've had people who work for me that deal with depression, self-medicated, and I understand it. To want to take your life because you feel that down all the time is a terrible thing. And a lot of people who don't have depression can't understand that. And that's why I'm sympathetic. I'm not really into taking medications to fix mental illness type situations. But when you're clinically depressed, you need antidepressants because you got to get out of that funk. The problem is that a lot of bodybuilders self-medicate, okay, because they are clinically depressed. The bodybuilding lifestyle itself is a good way to lift yourself out of depression because it puts you in a positive mood. Anabolics definitely have a euphoric effect on the body. You definitely feel good. And that's why a lot of guys with depression are really I guess you could say, attracted to using anabolics because they feel better on the stuff. Let's face it. But when the depressive state hits you and comes on quickly, I know guys that don't leave the house for a couple of days, and I don't know what to tell them. That's why for people who have it that severely, you should really be under a doctor's care and be on a prescription antidepressant. I think they're warranted for those people. For people who have periods where they're just down because they may have lost someone they loved, or their house got hit with a hurricane or whatever, and then it was destroyed, like it happened to me in 2012. That's a temporary type of situation that will go away. And I always say, try to find something else that makes you feel good about yourself. Don't just have bodybuilding, because if you get hurt when you're bodybuilding, that right there could be an impetus to go into a real funk of depression, especially if you don't have anything else to look forward to. So always try to have a hobby that you're passionate about, or something you do that makes you enjoy life other than just working out. But if training and exercise really helps take you out of that depressive funk that you tend to be in on a regular basis, I think it's a really positive thing for you to do. what do you do when you fall into that funk? You got to have good people around you to help you pull out of it. People that you can talk to and work your way through it. But I think it's also important to have a professional person on your team, psychologist, psychiatrist that you can go talk to and work through these things. And if you need to be medicated, then maybe you need to. Just because you take an antidepressant doesn't mean you're going to take it the rest of your life. You might need it for a short temporary period of time to get you out or get you through a tough period. Also, meditating definitely helps a lot too. There's no doubt about that. And the great thing, you can go on YouTube and put meditation in, and you can do a 15 or 10-minute meditation. You close your eyes, you put your headphones on, like I got. You listen to the meditation. They tell you what to do. Breathe here, take a deep breath, envision this, envision that. And believe me, when you're done with that meditation, you will feel at peace. And I'm telling you, it definitely helps. And now with iPods, I'm dating myself. Now with iTunes, you can download right to your iPhone different, I subscribe to like different meditation podcasts. And when a new one comes out, it pops up on my screen. I can put it in for 10 minutes a day and just relax. And I think that that's something, especially in these times now where people are depressed, they can't get to the gym, things are shut down, they're being quarantined. I feel bad for the people in New York City. They can't leave their apartments. Yeah. You need something to do. So you got to meditate. Because the worst thing you can start doing is drinking alcohol and taking drugs to try to feel good about what you're doing. Not productive. Absolutely not productive.
On that note, that's going to do it for this episode of Ask Dave. Again, reminder right now at speciesnutrition.com, 35% off the entire website. Go now. This deal is going to be good through Friday at midnight, 35% off speciesnutrition.com. For Dave Palumbo, I'm Sadiq Faruqi. Stay safe, everyone. Keep it locked to RxMuscle.com.
Take it easy, everyone. See you next week.